What happened in the Air India crash? What went on? These are my thoughts. Now, first, we need to take a look at the aircraft. The Boeing 787-8, a phenomenal aircraft, a super safe aircraft. You've got more chance of having an accident on the way to the airport in a car than you have flying in that aircraft. But in this terrible tragedy, 242 people went onto that plane and only one come off. So something dreadful happened. Now, the aircraft itself is 187 foot approximately long. It will go about 7,300 miles on full tanks. Now, I think it uses round about 2,550 gallons per hour. So there are an awful lot of fuel in that aircraft. You've got the fuel tanks full. You've got a lot of weight in passengers. And there you've got a twin-engined aircraft where both engines fail. Or that's what they think. Now, you can have bird strikes. Over the years, I've had hundreds of birds get really close to the rotors on the helicopter and the blades on an aeroplane that I've been flying. But ever so slightly, just before they hit them, they always seem to get out of the way. And it's super rare for that to happen. And to jam two engines up with bird strikes just seems so incredibly unnatural and just what I don't think happened. Now, you're racing down the runway in an aeroplane, a Boeing 787. You're going to get to about 160 miles an hour and you're going to pull back on the sticks inside an aircraft and the plane's going to start lifting. It's called rotation speed. In that sort of aircraft with that sort of weight, you're probably looking around 160 miles an hour on the runway before you can pull back and the aircraft nose will start to lift. Now, if you haven't put the flaps on, that's the flaps on the sides of the wings, on the back of the wings, and they tilt. And you can do 1 stage, 2 stage, 3 stage on a small aircraft, very similar on a larger aircraft, and they've got lots of small stages as well. You press a button and everything starts to move. That will make the wing far more efficient. It will take off far quicker. It will give you far more lift. Now, looking at these aircraft taking off, I noticed I couldn't see the flaps on. So I'm thinking perhaps on the checklist, and there's a checklist saying absolutely everything, it looks like they perhaps haven't put the flaps on. Now, once you get to 600 feet, which is this aircraft got to, just over 600, I think it was 625 feet, then the aircraft started to have a problem, whether it were twin engine failing or the wing stalling. That means there's not enough air going over the wing and under the wing to hold the thing in the air. So once you've got that, it's called the stalling of the wing. And it's just like an engine in a car stalling, where once it stalls, it stops doing the job. And then the aircraft turns into hundreds of tons of metal and it comes down fast. At that stage, when you're high up, you would normally push the nose of the aircraft forward, gain lots of speed, and that would then send air through the wings and give you the lift back. But when you're up at just over 600 feet and you're hundreds of tons, including fuel and passengers, then that aircraft's going to come down fast. Now, another thing that alters it is temperature. It was over 100 degrees. I think it said 104 degrees in temperature. So you don't get as good a lift in hot weather. So it was hot, was the weather. The aircraft was heavy. It was full of fuel. It looks like the flaps weren't working or they wasn't deployed. So you had less lift all the way around and things started going wrong just over 600 foot up. And that does not give you the time to do absolutely anything. So I'm thinking that is what went wrong. It were flaps, it were hot, it perhaps stalled. It's very unusual for both engines to stop. If the engines did stop, it's probably, rather than a bird strike, I would say it would probably more towards fuel starvation or something in the fuel, whether it was water or contamination in the fuel, because if the fuel's contaminated, that will instantly stop jet engines, instantly. So when you've not got the height and the engines stop, it's over with. But the miracle of all of this was one person survived, which is unbelievable. But he did, and thank God he did. Our hearts, thoughts and minds go out to all the families